All right, let's talk some Houston Texans here for a second. They're in an interesting spot. It's not the best spot. And listen, I know when I make these videos, the primarily focus, I feel like a lot of people that watch this tend to be fans of that specific team of the video I'm making. So I know that there will be Texans fans here, and to the Texans fans, I'm so sorry, because this has been a tough situation. It's going to get a little bit worse before it gets better, but it's a little bit better. It is a little bit better than it was last year, because basically just a year passed. Like, that's kind of the main, like, the biggest win they had last year was that it's no longer last year and now it's a new year. So you have that to feel good about, is you now have a draft pick, which you didn't have last year. And just, another year of time passes, another year of the whole Deshaun Watson weirdness. But, in terms of like, listen, I should be more clear when I say the whole Deshaun Watson weirdness. What I mean is just the way that, as a football team, from the football perspective, you'll have more information about Deshaun Watson, if not at the end of, by the beginning of this year, at least by the beginning of next year. So you're getting closer to that as well. But let's just talk about where they're at this year. And the first thing we have to do is talk about how much cap space they have and how many free agents they have to sign. So as you see right here, they have only $18 million, and again, I was kind of surprised, like, how did I have such little cap space? And I looked at it and was like, oh yeah, of course, because of the Deshaun Watson contract. He's still on the books, so that sucks for them. So only $18 million here, not a ton of free agents, but some. It's not like they have zero either. So first you have Malik Collins, and I should mention the number next to all these guys, that's how much PFF is expecting they will make annually in free agency. So Malik Collins is supposed to get the most as an interior defensive lineman there for $9 million. So, I mean, again, it's kind of weird. He definitely, I feel like, had a bit of a contract year breakout season. So those guys are always a little bit scary in giving the big money to. He has had another year like that was good, but he's been a little bit inconsistent over his career, so a little bit scary to give big money to there. Maybe you just, continue to rebuild and let him walk. Justin Reed, who I feel like I've always kind of liked, his first 2 years were great, but like last year, for example, if you're a fan of PFF, which I think they're pretty good, he was the 87th ranked safety out of 92 eligible safeties. So that's not good. Not exactly sure what happened there. It might have just been like the Lovie Smith scheme isn't a great fit for him, which if that's the case, like for him, he might just be trying to get out of there, quite frankly. But maybe the Texans franchise tag Justin Reed. I could see that because the safety tag isn't that expensive. Tyrod Taylor is another guy who, I wouldn't hate to bring back. He's a fine, like solid, again, kind of that fringe starter caliber quarterback. So I think they might also roll with Davis Mills as a starter, but maybe you just have Tyrod Taylor in there so you can at least get quality quarterback play, if nothing else. You also have Desmond King, who you kind of had a bit of a buy low kind of situation with him, only $3 million. Another guy who's had some success, but then kind of as everything fell apart in these past 3 seasons, hasn't really been that great. So maybe you just, again, keep him for another 3 years. That's an option, or excuse me, not another 3 years. Keep him for another 1 year at $3 million, kind of because it's, again, a low risk, high reward type move. You just take these flyers on guys and hopefully you find one that can work. You also have edge rusher, not Jacob King. That's a typo. Jacob Martin. I accidentally wrote King for 2 different players. So my bad on that one. But yeah, Jacob Martin here. Again, like a fine edge rusher, not going to break the bank on him or anything, but he's fine. Also, tight end Jordan Atkins, who, again, shown some nice things for $4 million. That's probably worth it to hang on to him. So none of these guys are breaking the bank. There's none of these guys you have to sign, but it's kind of just like, yeah, I guess you could take them for kind of all these guys. So if they wanted to re-sign all of them, they would need $31 million, which means they would have to clear $13 million to do so, which you could easily do with restructures and things like that. But I don't think they'll re-sign all these guys anyway. So kind of interesting. You might see some of these players end up on different teams next year, which is, always kind of fun. Going over here now, this is by far the most amount of players that I put on the players they could cut list. And I'm not saying they should cut all these guys. These are just the guys that you could, save some money and get very little dead cap for, or at least, or at least interesting to look at. So the players they can cut at the top of the list, if they cut Deshaun Watson, they actually lose $10 million in cap space. Although they do save 24 million if it's a trade. So maybe you try to trade him to try to save that cap space. That's certainly something I could see the logic behind. It's just so crazy how with this whole situation, I mean, they end up with a negative asset with Deshaun Watson. They don't even get a neutral situation here. They have a negative asset there. So I'm sure they'd love to get rid of him if possible. Or, if they, I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if they say, hey, like if he ends up, not having any charges or like settles out of court, which is a real possibility, well, then you have a star quarterback. I mean, the ethics aside, that would be a great football thing to happen. Brandon Cooks, who I believe has said that he wants to stay in Houston, but they could still cut him and save the $9 million. Like that's still an option on the table, or they could still, maybe he'll be okay with a trade. Maybe they could trade him, something like that. As for everyone else, I'm not really going to go down the list and talk about each one of these guys. I mean, again, a lot of guys that could save a couple million if they wanted to. So basically, that's just kind of what this team is basically built around, is a lot of guys who don't have a ton of, don't cost a ton and might save you a little bit, but also aren't star players. It's kind of what this team is. Let's go over here now. Typically, these are really important things to look at. This year, I think we kind of already know this, but what we're looking at is this is where they ranked in each, according to PFF, in each positional category. So they had, for example, the 28th best passing attack. I thought Davis Mills did show some flashes. I get the logic totally behind like giving Davis Mills another year. I don't think you have to. Like, he also did have some bad games as well. He was a rookie and he was in a tough situation, but like, I scouted Davis Mills in college and wasn't very impressed. I saw some things that made me say, okay, well that, he has some traits that will work at the NFL level. Those traits have worked at the NFL level, but he also, to me, it's like, I don't think I need to give Davis Mills another year, which I know will be kind of a controversial opinion because I think a lot of people like the idea of giving Davis Mills another year. And again, I don't hate it necessarily. I guess my thing is like, Jacksonville moved on from Gardner Minshew to get a Trevor Lawrence. I don't think that that's a bad idea. If you get a guy that you think has a lot of potential, I would say take it. Now the question is there that guy this year? And I don't know if there is. So because of that, you might just stick with stick with Davis Mills and just take a flyer on him, and maybe, I don't know, get someone else in that quarterback position that could be another flyer guy. Like get a Jameis Winston, just take a flyer on that, and if none of them work out, okay, well now next year should be a good quarterback draft. We'll go from there. The offensive line, not great. Part of that is, only having Tunsil play 262 snaps. Hopefully he'll play some more, so you can improve there for sure. 29th in football isn't great. Receiving core, the strength of the offense at 22nd best in football. Brandon Cooks is good. I like Nico Collins. People made fun of that pick, but he actually played pretty well. You could definitely get another guy in that room, though, for sure. I think so. And then for the running game, was worst in football. You can live with that, though. I am not going to freak out about that. Run defense, not great. Pass rush was fine. Hey, that's the strength of your team. Build around the pass rush, right? They got that down, I suppose. At least a solid pass rush, and then coverage also worst in football. So that's not ideal. You need to improve. You need an entire defense and an entire offense. But other than that, you're good. It definitely reminds me a little bit of the Good Place. If you ever watched that, there's the joke about the Jaguars fans saying, hey, we don't suck. We just need a better defense, offense, and some minor rule changes. That kind of feels like where the Texans are currently at. They got some work to do for sure. But hey, just worry about getting some pieces for the future. That's what I would do. So let's not worry about like trying to get a complete team now. Let's say, we're going to suck at some parts next year. That's going to happen. I don't know what we really accomplished last year. So instead of doing that, let's just say, okay, hey, if there's I was going to say Terron Armstead, but they already have a left tackle. But like if like Ryan Jensen's available, sign him. Sure, give him a 5-year deal. Now you have a solid center for the future. If you can get an Allen Robinson, might not be the worst move. He's played with bad quarterbacks over his career. Davis Mills will probably be one of the best quarterbacks who's ever thrown him the ball. So you got that going for you, or something like that. Just try to get some players who can actually play and you feel can play for a while in free agency, and then obviously building through the draft is going to be the key. And since you didn't have a first-round pick last year or a second-round pick last year, they have draft picks now. Let's see what they can do. I don't know. It's an interesting team. I think they're more than a year away, but you got a chance to start to build a foundation this year, and that's what they're going to try and do. So that's the excitement for Texans fans. That's what I think. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. What are your thoughts on where the Houston Texans are currently at? Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.